Hi, my name is Greg Bilbro, CEO of GeoFlip, and today is July 16th. And I'd like to talk a little bit about GeoFlip, and this talk is called May I Replace Your Skunk? So, what am I talking about? Well, I'm with GeoFlip. We do lead generation. We specialize in generated motivated seller leads for real estate investors. A little bit about who I am, just so that you're familiar with my background and so that you know where I'm coming from with regard to the message and who it's supposed to help and who it's supposed to reach. And that would be real estate investors. There's some other real estate investors that I've done some podcasts with. I don't know if anybody out there is familiar with Joe Fairless. He runs the best ever real estate advice, the best real estate investing advice ever. And on episode 695 back in 2016, right down here, Greg Bilbro's real estate background, I spoke on the science of flipping and understanding the data. That was a cool one. Joe McCall is a cool guy. He's a great lease option guy. I think he's out of St. Louis. And I met him, I think, in San Diego at a mastermind event, digital marketing mastermind event. And he interviewed me on podcast 621, talking digital marketing for investors with Greg Bilbro. The Investor Fuse boys are awesome. A lot of you guys know Investor Fuse. I did one of their podcasts back in 2017, The Golden Ratio of Real Estate Investing with Greg Bilbro. I did a flipping podcast, another flipping podcast, I should say, Flipping Real Estate Like the Pros, episode 38, Marketing Smarter, Failing Forward, with my previous partner and myself. And I've done some others as well. I've worked with Justin Colby with the science of flipping and done a few other things. But that's just a little bit of background. I've been doing flipping, wholesaling, business building for about 10 years. And the last 5 years have been predominantly flipping and lead generation, specializing in lead generation. So at this point, I'd like you to know I've made 3 assumptions about you. The first is that you're a real estate investor, and they specialize in doing transactions like cash deals, buy, fix, and flip, wholesale, hotel, rental portfolios. You're probably are familiar with MLS deals or converting leads to the MLS listing, if that's the way that the lead goes, or maybe referring it to a realtor in house. And for some of you, a lot of you guys talk about creative finance, seller carry subject to lease option, and a few of you know how to do it. I'm not one of them, not proficient. But these are the kind of real estate investors that are my clients, and these are the kind of real estate investors that tend to gain the most advantage with our system. Now, the second assumption I'd like to make is that you're already excellent at marketing for motivated seller leads, or else you probably wouldn't be getting this message, or you wouldn't be on my list of important people to talk to. But as with most real estate investors, my practice has shown me, and this is true for myself, in my own fix and flip and wholesale shop, which is many REIs that make it. They have a really good marketing channel that I will call their lead horse. This is the thing that is tried and true. It's old reliable. It produces most of your leads, produces most of your deals, produces most of your rev. It's the thing that I wouldn't say perfected, but it's your marketing channel that does, let's say, 80%, if not more, of what constitutes your revenue and your lead gen. And then most REIs have another one that sputters around. The reason why you have this one good marketing channel is probably because you've tried 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 other ones, and one worked. One you somehow became proficient in, or one somehow just you understood better than maybe some of the others. But you're always trying to figure out how to diversify marketing channels. You're always trying to figure out, is there a better channel? You're always trying to figure out, if you have a bad month or quarter with your marketing channel, would it make some sense, much like when one piston is down and another piston is up, would it make some sense to have another equally or almost as good, maybe even better, marketing channel bolted onto the side, so that when you have a down month, you actually don't have a down month. You've got one up, one down, and so forth, and sometimes 2 good up months, or both marketing channels work together, and then you have a killer month. So with that being said, most of my REIs do have a lead horse, and then most of them do have a skunk. And the skunk marketing channel is the one that's most of your headaches. It's the one that chews up most of your money. It's the one that's most inconsistent. It's the one that chews up most of your time. It's the one that maybe you have been feeding money and feeding time, and maybe throwing smart people at it, your secretary, your lead manager, your acquisitions guy, or whatever, or another vendor, or VA, or VA, and a VA, and a VA, and then it just doesn't work out. Okay, that is your skunk marketing channel, and that's what we're talking about today, is just your skunk marketing channel. So an example might be, what if you are fantastic at direct mail? Most of my clients, that is their lead horse, is direct mail. but you've been trying Facebook for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months. You keep feeding it money, and it doesn't feed you good leads that you can convert into consistent revenue. And it's just, frustrating. Got it. We've all been there. Okay, so that would be your skunk. Sometimes a lot of my buddies, they actually started a call center. A lot of my REIs, they either hired call centers in the last 3 or 4 years, or they built them. And then they got cold calling ratios going, and they figured out how to generate leads, motivated seller leads, through cold calling ratios and so forth. And that's great. Nothing wrong with that. But a lot of times these guys might be good in this and, let's say, bad at something else like search engine optimization. These are just examples. So the skunk is what we're talking about today. Whoops, my apologies for that. My bad. The skunk is what we're talking about today, and that's all we're talking about, not your lead horse. Okay, and the third assumption, I hope, is well received. Is this a sales pitch? Yes, it sure is. But here's the good news. There's nothing for sale in this talk. This is just information. In the next couple slides, you'll know very clearly if this fits you and your organization or not. There's really nothing to sell. This is more like if it fits, you'll know it. Okay, so here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to apply to work for you at your company. Now, no, I don't want to be an employee, but what I would like to do is apply for what I'm calling the position of skunk remover. Every REI has some fat that they need to cut off of their marketing system, whether it's their lead horse or their other marketing channels that are not working. I just want to attack, or address, I should say, the marketing channels that are not working, or one that you've done in the past that you're thinking about maybe doing again, but you're nervous about it because it didn't work then and you're not really sure if it's going to work this time. That's the channel that I wish to apply for as the director of marketing for your new channel. Now, which marketing channel is your skunk? Only you can figure that out, but pick whichever one it is. I don't know which one's your weakest link, but pick whatever you're not good at. And let's talk about redirecting the energy and the money that goes into it, and maybe putting it into a system that I think I will show you has a track record and a sense of consistency that hopefully you will latch on to as a potential customer of mine, in an honest format, knowing that there's always risk in digital marketing, and I can't make any promises, but hopefully with your own eyes, you'll be able to see what we've been able to do for other clients. Now, I want you to, before I transition to that, just think, is your skunk going to get better? Are you going to keep feeding it money? Is it going to improve miraculously? Are the handful of changes you've been making over and over and over, is it working? How many more months, quarters, and how many more tens of thousands of dollars are you going to put in your skunk? I just want you to think that, because you could have a system that works starting tomorrow. And I'm hopefully going to do the best I can to showcase what I mean by a system that could work tomorrow. So if you were to hire GeoFlip as your director of marketing to take over, or let's say supplant the position of your marketing skunk, let's talk about what GeoFlip can do for you. So here would be 4 examples that I'm going to break down as best I can. And there's going to be 2 examples that are smaller geos with smaller real estate investors with smaller budgets, like 4, 5, 6, 7 bucks, $1,000 a month. And then there's going to be 2 bigger geos, or I should say 2 bigger real estate investors with bigger budgets who are comfortable spending like 10, 15K a month, something in that range, or at least 8, 10, 12. So you're going to see from the top guy you're going to see is going to be the littlest geo, or the smallest marketing budget. And then it's going to get progressively bigger as we go down. So here's the 4 examples. These are real world examples. This right here is my Boise, Idaho client. Now, the backstory on Boise, Idaho client is he's a full-time firefighter, part-time flipper. So this was an error on my part. I probably should not have allowed him, or I should say, had him sign up. It still worked, and he did better than 3Xing his money over a year and a half. But we're not really trying to entertain part-time flippers. So this is really for full-time career professionals who are hungry to grow their company, grow their organization from X to 2 or 3X. Okay. But it's still a good example, because here's a part-time guy with 5K, 3, 4, 5K a month at most. And he still was able to squeak out over the lifetime or lifespan of his relationship with GeoFlip. He was able to net $6,400 positive per month. Now, why do I bring this up? His firefighting schedule was 15 days on and 15 days off. So he only flipped part-time. And I don't know what firefighters make. I'm going to assume, 70, 80, 90 grand or something. Well, this $6,400 a month almost doubles his take-home pay for him and his wife and his family. Firefighter makes 80 grand, and we put 80 or 90 grand on the board in the first year with GeoFlip. So in this guy's world, he filled his 15 days off with another part-time gig that made him just as much money as his firefighting full-time gig. So that was pretty cool. He's a happy camper. Now I'm going to show you what that looks like, and then I will explain this first time so that it's easy to understand, and it should be self-explanatory. And then the next three examples I'll go through quicker. But like I said, I think this is self-explanatory. This is what we call the GeoFlip profit and loss chart. And this is my Boise client. On the x-axis, you can see the weekly. Every single week stands on its own 2 feet, and we measure everything every single week. So the money going into GeoFlip, from my client's perspective, and then the money out, meaning coming out of GeoFlip and going into my client's back pocket. It's money in versus money out, or return on investment, return over R over I. So in this case, the x-axis is just the weeks that he was with GeoFlip, and the y-axis is quite obvious, it's money. And the red line, as you can tell, is his sum total of marketing expenses by week. So each red dot represents his total aggregate dollars out of pocket into the GeoFlip system. So right here at about week 25, you can tell this red dot right here. I'm just going to kind of ballpark this about week 26, let's say. That's his half a year in. He's spent, let's call it 20 or 30 grand, something like that. I'm going to guess it's 20 or 30 grand. But he had probably 45 grand or something like that. And now you can see what his marketing costs did over time. In about a year and a half, he spent $54,000 in marketing with GeoFlip. And in that time frame, the GeoFlip system produced $168,000 of gross profit or gross revenue. And when you subtract 168, when you take 54 away from 168, you get his net profit of 114. When you take 114 and divide it by his months, that's when you get his $6,400 per month on average. So look at this. My Denver guy, he's making $7,400 per month. These Denver guys are full-time developers or builders. So when they met me 2 years ago, they had like a dozen properties coming out of construction or out of the ground at various stages. And they also do like track home builds and spec home builds. And they have got $1.8 million duplex that's on the market and a $1.2 million spec home that's on the market. And they got all kinds of stuff. They're builders, not flippers, but they do know how to flip. And when they came to me, they were referred to me from another flipper. And what they were told and what they asked was, hey, Bill Bro, hey, GeoFlip, can we hire you and get some shorter cycle profits going, right? So wholesale's great for making shorter term money, especially compared to a builder. Builders don't make money in, sometimes it's 1 and 2 and 3 year income cycles. But with wholesaling, it can be 1 and 2 and 3 week income cycles or 1 and 2 and 3 month income cycles. So this was another great example of us filling a void for these guys. These guys already had a whole lot of moving parts and irons in the fire with their development business, but they could bolt on Geo to the side and tack on the following numbers. So in the first year and change, a little bit over a year, you can see they spent about 102, they made 213, and they netted 111. Now I will say, those are not stellar numbers, but their first 6 months was priming the pump and them sort of getting their head wrapped around GeoFlip because they were swamped with the builder stuff. But now they're on fire. Now they're locking up more deals. They've increased their marketing budget 2 or 3 times because they're seeing the exponential return, and it's really starting to come to them, and they're happy campers. So that works. Now, those were 2 smaller examples. This is a much larger REI with a bigger budget, about double, and he makes a whole lot more money, and he's full-time, and he's hungry. And this guy is what I call three-headed monster. He can do cash deals, he can do MLS deals, and he can do creative finance deals, and he does all 3, and that's why he makes a good amount of money, because he's a Swiss Army knife. He can do it all. So if you take a look at his P&L chart over time, it's about 2 years long, and it's approaching 2 years, I should say. He hired us in 2018, so all of 18 and 19, or I should say end of 18, 19, and 2020. That's this data set. So about a year and a half over that time frame. And his first week with us, all the way to week 90, 5 or 6 right here, he spent $148,000. The GeoFlip system produced him $755,000. That's a net of $607,000 over the course of about 18 months or almost 2 years, which is a net profit of $27,400 per month. You can put some kids to college with that kind of income. I know that. You can buy some pretty fancy Teslas and houses with 27 grand a month. And remember, what I want to say is GeoFlip is but one vendor. This Central Valley client already had a lead horse. He already was making good money. He had a skunk that we replaced. And so now he's got 2 strong lead horses. He's got 2 strong pistons hitting on all cylinders, where when one is up and if one is down, he's good. The good news is as you can tell, GeoFlip doesn't go down a whole lot, right? I mean, we're a pretty darn consistent engine. Look at this. No matter what he spent, he just kept stair stepping up his rev because he's closing deals right and left. Okay, so that's, and I don't even know what his other system makes, but I think our system is starting to eclipse his. I'm not sure about that. Okay, my Atlanta guy is a bigger client, bigger geo, bigger marketing budget. He's spending, 10, 12K a month, 15K a month, something like that. He netted $31,000 per month over the course of his relationship, or I'm sorry, of this data set in this year and a half or so. It's almost 2 years, I'm sorry. And if same thing, the GeoFlip Atlanta profit and loss chart, if you can see, he spent 212, he made 860, which is a net of 648. So those are some pretty substantial numbers. And again, this client, he also had a skunk that we were able to identify and replace. And so it worked out quite nicely. So what can we do for you? Those are 4 examples of what GeoFlip has done for in real time, in real world examples in 4 other geos with 4 other clients, with 4 other systems and 4 other time frames. And as you can tell, we had favorable results in all the above. Okay, so what do you do if you have a skunk? And I'll be done in just a moment. First, let's make sure you have an available geo. This is not a comprehensive list, but it is a decent list to point you in a direction. If you're in California and you're in any of those geos, we'd love to talk. We know we can rock those geos. I'm already in 2 geos in California and we're kicking butt, so I know we can do this. In Texas, we've been in Texas before. Love to do some more geos in Texas. You could probably add Lubbock to that Texas list. Florida, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, New York. We're already in Long Island, doing well in Long Island. I think we're going to bring on New Jersey next to New York, hopefully next month. And then these are just some hot cities. I know we'll kick butt in Chicago. Indianapolis, it's like the data is fantastic. I know we can do well in Indianapolis. Detroit, Nashville, Richmond, Virginia, heck yeah, bring it on. Minneapolis, we're already generating leads there, and we're not even trying. I would probably add to this list maybe like a Kansas City. I'd probably add like an Albuquerque to this. Any major metro that's full 500,000 people or bigger, like it's interesting to me. So call me and let's talk. So pick your geo, and then right here, just select your package. You can go to GeoFlip at any point, and you just click on the geoflip.com or go to geoflip.com. I'm sorry, and just go to the pricing page, which is this page. Now, I'm going to explain this very briefly. This package right here that's done for you is for side hustlers. This is for part-timers, not career guys. This is for people that have a budget of like $3,000 a month tops for everything. And that's all they can afford. Then this is a good fit for you. And I'll explain it more later when we do a phone call. But those 4 examples that I went through are all professionals and they're full-time guys, except obviously for my Boise guy who is a full-time firefighter, but that was an exception. That's why I explained it. All the results from all those others, that's this package right here. And then if you're a national broker or an institutional buyer, or you want to buy a region like the whole damn Southwest and pick up like 5 cities or something like that, yeah, we have packages for that. We've done that before. We could do that again. So we certainly have some enterprise level, but these are just a little bit more custom. So that's why I can't speak to it with any more numbers, because they're all kind of unique. That being said, this package right here is the most common. We've been doing this like clockwork for 5 years in competitive markets. So you'd pick your package, then you'd go hit reserve geo, and when you hit reserve geo, that'll that'll take you to my Calendly page, and that's me right there. And that's me in my tuxedo marrying my dad about 5 or 6 years ago to his wife. And you'll schedule a 30-minute meeting, and we'll talk, and we'll see if your geo works. We'll see if your geo is available, and we'll see if GeoFlip is a fit for you. If you have a skunk, hire GeoFlip. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. My name is Greg Bilbro, and I'm signing off.